Hello, mixtresses and mixters. This is mixtressrae. You're watching Mixtress video. So I've already lit the candle because this is the second time I'm starting this video. So we're going to try again. This should be a general disclaimer on all of my videos, but I particularly want to make it today. I am only here to express my own experience, and I am always trying to process my thoughts out loud, and it is a struggle. I know it often sounds like I'm using absolute statements and prescriptive language because I am a lot of the time. However, even though that's what it sounds like, it is never my intention to tell anyone else what to do, even though that's literally what it sounds like I'm doing a lot of the time. So this disclaimer does need to be made. And this video in particular, I am wanting to provide explanation and context for my last video that I put out on Thursday. And I'm going to be flipping through a tarot deck at the same time that I'm talking because a visual that isn't my face, because I'm not doing that right now. So I want to provide context and explanation. If you view what I'm saying as excuses, that is not what I want to do. That's not what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to give context and explanation. So there's that. The biggest thing that I need to, the correction portion of the video, I need to say that I was not wanting to direct my anger towards creators of art, and I did not mean to suggest that they don't deserve a living wage. I really enjoyed Benabel Wynn's blog post that I shared on my community tab yesterday because it provided, she was very open and honest about her finances whenever she is doing her deck creation. I think that Benabel Wynn is manufacturing her decks with maybe more integrity, quality, and transparency than others that I've seen. There's nuance to, creators and how they operate and what kind of production they are doing. But in the way that she is producing decks, it is absolutely reasonable for her to be charging $65 because she showed the receipts. And I understand why her deck is priced that way now. And this does change my perception. Sorry, I'm consulting notes, and they're all very unorganized because I am not capable of being organized. So let me find what else I wanted to say about that. Okay, so I now have a slightly different view on what would be considered, for me, a reasonable price for a tarot deck. But finding something conceptually reasonable and knowing the reasons for how much a deck costs does not change what is financially feasible for me. I also want to say the part of the video that, I definitely didn't word things perfectly in that video, and I would have said things differently today after, the last 6 days of fielding the comments on that video. I definitely would have worded several things differently if I made that video again today. However, the only thing I really would have edited out is the way I approached talking about my experience with asking the creator of Ritual Tarot if she would give me a discount on her deck. This is something I have talked about before. It's not new information that I shared, that I asked for a discount and did not get one. And some people think that it was inappropriate of me to share that information. I don't know about that. But one thing that I should definitely say is that I should not have presumed to know the reason behind her decision to say no to me. I don't know why. And I don't, she didn't have to tell me why. And that's totally her business. I don't think I'm going to be able to say definitively, I know I'm not going to be able to say definitively that I will not have emotionally charged language when I'm talking to you guys, because for the same reason that I was trying to express the point that I don't think objectivity exists, I also believe that language is emotional. Trying to express myself is emotional. Like, I can't pretend that I'm not having emotions, and it's a lot of what I've been going through since that last video was posted is a lot of, like, the way that my brain works is there's like sort of a sensational statement that is at the very surface of what I'm thinking, and then I try to go into the nuances and emotions and psychological bullshit that's propping that up. So that's why, and you hear my process. When I'm sitting down to record a video, I have a general idea of what I want to say, but I don't really know what I'm saying until I'm saying it. And sometimes I say a thing and immediately realize that's not the thing. And it's frustrating. The way that I communicate has been frustrating my entire life. I have been told that my language is wrong pretty much my entire life. This is not new to me. Okay, I'm straying from my notes. Okay, I already said that. I'm deleting my notes as I say them because otherwise I will be saying the same thing over and over and over again. One note that I put on here is I'm still learning to be verbal. I've never been like a nonverbal autistic person. However, I did not speak about my feelings on things very much at all until about 9 years ago, when I started my radio show in 2014, I think it was 2014. When I started my radio show was the same month that I started this YouTube channel. And that was when I started trying to process how I felt out loud. Because prior to that, I had very little conversations with other human beings. When I was really going through something, I became silent. But the opposite has sort of happened to me in the last 9 years, which is that I am hyper verbal when I'm going through something, because I'm figuring out a way to work through it by talking about it out loud. Sorry, it's fully nighttime, but somehow there's still landscaping noise next door. He's loading equipment onto his flatbed. Anyway, so I am still in the process of becoming verbal and figuring out how to express myself with words. It's a constant process. And the main takeaway from my last video is that I didn't say things correctly. And I have been told this my entire life. The thing that's different this time is I have translators and advocates now. Those of you that, so I'm starting to get into like sort of my emotional experience of this particular video that blew up and has, as of now, gotten 4 VRs that I know of and has like 250 or so comments. It's, I think, probably the most popular video that I have made since I started talking about tarot. Popular being like controversial, really, because I don't know how many people are really liking it. There are people that are resonating with it, and there are people that are being quite cruel to me. So yeah, I'm getting into the emotional experience of the last 6 days. And it's been a roller coaster. So if you don't want to hear someone being emotional on the internet, please click away. Okay. Where was I going with that? So it's new for being verbal is still new for me. Still feels new for me. And I'm constantly sorting things out as I'm saying them. And it's part of my process of sorting things out to say it out loud. I think a lot of people would say, well, you shouldn't be doing that publicly on the internet. But it is a process that has made me more verbal. And it is a process that has made me some ride or die friends over the years. And this week was no exception to that. To have people that could see through the words that I was saying to the intentions and the ideas behind them, that took the time to translate what I was saying into more accessible language and to get it so right, I've often said that it's like I don't know English. I don't know any language. I don't know the language of words. I am trying all the time. And I contradict myself constantly. It's frustrating. But if I were to just, shut the fuck up and leave the internet like some of you guys want me to, then I would be halting that progress that I've made in the last 9 years of becoming a more verbal person, becoming more in touch with my emotions, because I was never able to verbalize them before. And I am learning that now. And to those of you that did see through to what I was trying to say, despite the very emotionally charged language I was using, and translated for me either in the comments or by creating a VR, you have no idea what that means to me. I might start crying on the internet, so prepare yourself for that. You guys have no idea. It was like a lot of childhood shit got brought up for me in that comment section. And it was either, there were people that were just genuinely having conversation with me and it wasn't triggering any childhood bullshit. But the people that were being unkind to me, the general vibe was, grow up, get over it, shut up, was the general vibe from the cruel comments. And those people were reaching straight into my childhood and slapping the little girl within on the face, And that hurt. It hurt. I have cried several times this week, and I don't actually cry that often. So that was fun. But those of y'all that were my translators and advocates, and I call you my translators because so many of you were able to express exactly what I was trying to express with much better word choices. Those of y'all that were my translators were reaching straight back into my childhood and patting that little girl on the head. and telling her she's okay. And it continues to be so incredibly healing. Despite the fact that I have had a really rough week because of this video, I would not give that up, because I feel like I've made some connections with people that I didn't have before. And there were I do feel a little silenced right now, though, just to be totally honest, because every single thing I try to say, I'm thinking of what the possible reaction could be. And this is a really hard way to process emotions. It's really hard for me anyway to translate my emotions into words, just in general. But to have to do so without saying anything that might trigger someone, I don't think I'm capable of it. And I don't think that that is a worthy pursuit for me either. I think that, of course, I can always learn. That's what I'm doing. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to grow, truly. Okay. Let me this is so okay. To my defenders and translators, the times that I cried while thinking about you were happy tears. That's something that I wrote in my notes. Okay, what else? Okay, I'm going to start getting into, like, the rest of my notes are kind of even more emotionally charged. So, again, spoilers ahead. Trigger warnings. Get out now. So one of the things that I think struck a nerve with people is when I was trying to express that no one is objective. This was not meant to be a disparaging comment. To me, this is an undisputed fact. Again, to me, everything I say is my experience, my perspective, and I'm not expecting everyone to share it, and I'm not expecting anyone to do the things that I want to do. Again, my experience. When I was saying that, like, no one is objective, I meant that literally, like, including me. That's why I was providing those examples. My intention behind providing the examples of the decks that I have gotten for free or discounted was because I was showing that in an effort to be transparent, to give you examples of how I am also not objective. Like, and that's not only, it's not one-sided. Like, I'm not objective either way. Like, if something is provided to me for free, that gives me a little bit of a good feeling about it to start, and that colors my experience. But also, if I have spent grocery money on a deck, that's going to color my experience of the deck. If I have, if I am in a really emotional space and I do my very first reading with a deck and it is not comforting to me, that is a non-objective experience, right? I was hoping to I would love to hear more context in reviews of tarot and oracle decks. I would love to hear more context. I would love to hear people talking. I guess what it is I would love to hear people using more emotional language, telling us what they really think and what experiences they're really having. I would love to see more vulnerability. And of course, if you don't want to show vulnerability, it's your channel. You get to do what you want. But my reasoning for showing like the decks that I've been given discounts on, my reasoning for showing my fucking income. I showed you guys my income, and I know how taboo that shit is. And it was hard for me to do that, and some of y'all reacted really badly. There's an analogy I want to make that I feel like people are not gonna like, but I need to say what I need to say, you know? Some of the reactions to my video reminded me of not wanting to look someone in the eye that is asking you for money on the street. I felt like I was being very vulnerable by showing you guys my income. And some of y'all were just sort of like, yeah, it's just confusing to me. It's confusing to me that I put myself out there like that. And some of y'all's reactions were just really demeaning and infantilizing. So many people basically suggested that I need to grow up, that I am not an adult because I don't have control over my spending habits. And I don't. And I'm going to express that every once in a while. I'm going to express the pain that I'm in for being someone that doesn't have the funds to support the habit that I have, for good or bad. Like, I want to be able to express my frustration at that. And like, I mean, I don't need everyone to say, oh, poor baby. If you don't want to engage with what I'm saying, you certainly don't have to. And another thing that I wrote down, yeah, I just feel like everything I say is going to incense people. But I do not want to be silenced. So I've got to say the things. I don't know how else to live. I don't know how else to live. And I am trying to be a kind person, and I am making missteps along the way, absolutely. But I am trying to evolve. And that's all I can do. One of the things I wrote in my notes is, we love a rags to riches story, but no one wants to hear when you're still in rags. When I started this tarot and oracle deck collecting habit, I made significantly more money than I make now. I made $100 a week more than I do now. Or I suppose that doesn't really work out literally because I didn't have patrons back then. So I guess it's more like I made about $300 a month more than I make now. That's pretty accurate to say. And at the time, it was 2018, 2019. Everything wasn't as expensive as it is now. I have noticed that every time I bring up finances, it's really a sticking point for people. I still don't entirely understand it. I do think that I trigger people, and I think that there is a reason for that. First of all, I think that, like, as far as like shadow work is concerned and things like that, no one has to do it. You are not obligated to peek into your shadow and uncover everything that is there. You need to do that when you are personally ready to do it. But I also think I'm going to start, and As a rule, I typically have not done this in the past. I do not like the idea of silencing anyone. However, in service of my mental health, I think I'm going to start deleting comments, maybe when I need to, blocking certain commenters that are particularly cruel. Because I do have control over this space, my channel. I do get to say what is here. And for the most part, on the last video, there were only 2 comments that I deleted. And I do want to talk about that here in a second. I do want to talk about what they were and why I deleted them. But for the most part, that's not been the way that I operate this channel. I leave everything out there. If I really think a person is being cruel, most of the time, I just don't respond to it at all, but I leave it there. Okay, hold on. I'm reading my notes. Okay, I already said that part. I have to delete what I've already said. My brain is so it is a dusty, scattered mess at all times. So you guys see a glimpse of that when you see my videos. And I think it does make people uncomfortable because they feel for me. And that's another thing, like the thing that is the saddest for me about this whole experience is the people that truly empathize with me and they can see my pain, the fact that it has caused them distress. Anyone that saw my comment section and they felt horrible for me, that makes me feel awful too, that anyone had to experience even a fraction of the pain that it caused me. And, you know, I'm being, obviously, like, I speak in, like, exaggerated, like, my emotional language is always exaggerated. I use, like, I just said it. I just said always. Like, is it always exaggerated? Probably not. But this is the way that things come out of my mouth, you know? I am learning to be more sophisticated, but it's a slow process. Anyway, so the 2 comments that I did delete, and I just want to put it out there and be fully transparent that I'm going to be doing that more often. Deleting comments, blocking people that are particularly nasty. I'm going to start doing that. Just to let you guys know. There were only 2 comments that I deleted in this last video. One of them was someone was being really rude to one of my friends commenting. So that was just sort of like a defending my friend reaction. I didn't delete the entire conversation, but I deleted the part where the person reacting to my friend got particularly nasty. So that was one thing. That was an easy decision, and I have done that kind of thing before a few different times on my channel. It doesn't, you know, I don't need to do that very often. Like, to be completely honest and try to focus on the good, like, it's easy to focus on the people that were nasty in my comments. It's easy to focus on them because those are the comments that repeat in your head over and over and over again, you know? But more people, like a lot more people, were kind, whether or not they agreed with me. Even if they were asking me questions and pointing things out to me that were uncomfortable, that made me realize, oh shit, I really stepped in it, you know? Because there are many parts of that last video that's like, oh, okay, yeah, she said that. And yeah, it is what it is. Is what it is. Okay, but I do want to, There's another comment that the reason I deleted it was because I wanted to talk about it right now. And I didn't want anyone to like go back and, oh, who said that, you know, because I'm not about the pitchfork life. I'm not about the pitchfork life. No one should be surrounded and taken down, you know? We're all dealing with our own pain. And the truth is, most of the people that were leaving me what I have been terming nasty comments, most of the people leaving those nasty comments, I mean, you have to know that the way that they're talking to me is the way that they talk to themselves. And that's heartbreaking. Like, there's no need to attack those people back. But the other comment that I deleted, it was, how do I talk about it in the right way? They implied that I was not a part of this community, basically, because in their estimation, I don't engage with it enough to be considered a part of it. And that sucked. That comment sucked, because I am easily overstimulated. There's only so much input from other people, good and bad, that I can metabolize, that I can conceptualize, that I can withstand even. Even if all the comments on my last video were supportive and good and kind, I would still be very overwhelmed right now because I have stayed very engaged in the comment section. I have really tried to thoughtfully answer most people's messages. And I mean, I guess that's not even accurate, because most people's messages I just acknowledge by hearting them. But I really tried to engage with the people that asked me direct questions or brought up points that I hadn't thought of, or brought up perspectives that I hadn't thought about. And I really tried to engage with those people, and I'm really trying to evolve and trying to expand my perspective and taking on board perspectives that I don't share, as long as they were respectfully brought to me. Anyone that was respectful, I'm really trying to engage with. And I'll be honest, my emotional experience in the last 6 days has been very difficult. Like, there's been days that were lost to the comments, you know? Trying to, I don't know, I actually don't know how to talk about it. But overall, I think that this experience is a good thing, because I have made some friends in the last week. There have been people that reached out to me privately just to ask me if I'm okay, and to listen to me and talk things out with me. And that is incredible. And I wouldn't give that up, despite, you know, stepping in it in the last video. I would not give that up. And I feel like there's just like so much more that I want to say, but I don't know how to say any of it. And I needed to put something else out there other than that video. I needed to have something else out there. I am doing this for closure. And I do know that I come off as being whiny when I talk about my financial experiences. or my financial reality or whatever. I know that I come off as whiny and spoiled and entitled, all things that people said to me. And I don't really know what to do about that. Because I'm always going to feel like I deserve the things that I want. And I'm always going to, part of the reason why I think I have a shopping addiction is because when I see something, I tend to over-identify with the objects in my life. I see them as a part of my identity, which I know is not the healthiest coping mechanism, but it is how I am, and I don't know how to change that. It is a reality for me that I am like that. So whenever I see something and that someone else has, and I've decided that I want that for myself, there's this desperation and anxiety and like obsession that happens within me until I can get a hold of that thing that I want. It's not a fun feeling. And sometimes that, in conjunction with my financial reality, those two things clash at just the right time in my menstrual cycle or whatever, that it manifests as anger and jealousy and rage. And I know that those are uncomfortable emotions to experience in someone else, but I also think they're valid because I think that showing emotions on the internet is important. I think that showing vulnerability is important. And again, your channel, your rules. If you don't want to show emotions or vulnerability, you don't have to. And certainly if you don't, you will be met with more kindness than I was met with in the last week. But to anyone out there that wants to start a channel and is reluctant to do so because of the comment section of my last video, which I have heard a couple of people say that, to anyone, I would highly recommend putting yourself out there on the internet. I have never had people come to my defense en masse before being on YouTube. And that is a really validating and beautiful experience. Especially the translators. Those of y'all that can see through the fucking Midwest colloquialisms and... Oh wow. This was my card of the day yesterday, so that's why temperance is on top. But I just leave that there. Just leave that there. Where is our temperance? As Sorsha asked in her VR the other day. See, I just totally lost track of myself. It's even harder for me to speak now than it was 6 days ago when I made that video. Because I have been trying to explain myself for 6 days straight. And I am exhausted. Just to really get into the vulnerability. Any of y'all that are still watching. Just to tell you guys how I'm feeling. Just to pretend that I have friends among you. Because I know I do. Because I know I do it. I don't want to say pretend. I know I have friends here. Real friends. And that is incredible, and I will not forget that. Anyone that was kind to me in that last video, in the comments, privately asking me if I was okay, sorting things out with me via voice messages on WhatsApp, anybody that extended that kindness to me, anyone that made a VR, anyone that was my translator in the comments, I will never forget that. I will never forget that kindness. That is what is going to stick around. It's not the hate. So if you're thinking about starting a channel and because you want to share your thoughts on the internet, I do recommend it. Like, was this a difficult week for me mentally? Yes, it was. But it was important. I think people showing me their real face, whether it was a face of kindness or a face of nasty, is valuable. That revelation was valuable to me. And this whole experience, I mean, not to be like super cliche, but this whole experience has definitely made me tougher, for sure. Yeah. I think I have already been talking for 40 minutes, so I should probably stop. And watch this video and see if I need to edit it, and I don't know. Anyway, thank you guys for listening. Anybody that is super kind, which most of you probably are, I am okay. I promise you, I am okay. Like, I have one thing that I will say, I'll try to keep this the last thing. I am lucky that whenever I am going through trauma, and it's a little dramatic to call, a heated comment section on a video I posted 6 days ago trauma. I get that. But the way that my body is experiencing this event feels pretty traumatic. It feels traumatic. So the way that I typically process trauma is I really steep in the emotions. I really feel all of them. I ask myself a gazillion questions about why I'm feeling what I'm feeling. I sort them out. And it stems from obsession for sure, but the fact that I do this also helps me sort through difficult situations faster than I think people that don't really let themselves feel everything. And that's totally, again, shadow work is optional. Asking yourself the deep questions is optional. Journaling your deepest feelings and regrets, optional. But when you are willing to go there, you sort through your emotions faster. When you don't numb yourself to them, you sort through them faster. So I am lucky that I usually do that. Usually whenever I'm very, very emotional about something, I want to get to the bottom of why I'm feeling that way and sort through it. And part of that process for me is talking to you guys. I don't want to lose that. I don't want to stop talking to you guys. So I'm going to keep doing it, and I'm going to keep messing up with my words, but I'm going to keep trying. And I hope that you'll want to continue with me on this journey, watching my channel. If you're ever in an emotional space where you just can't with my drama, I totally understand. Take care of yourself. Seriously. I want everyone to be okay. Whenever I am provocative and confrontational, it's the way that I treat myself. I want to confront why I'm feeling a certain way. I want to confront why I'm reacting a certain way. So that is how I speak to others. I don't want to be a rage monster. I don't want to make people feel bad. But I also think that my method of delivery I want to accept it instead of just feeling bad, because I can't change who I am. Anyway, I don't know if any of this made anything more clear or just dug me in a deeper hole, but thank you guys for listening anyway, if you made it this far.